In less than 24 hours, we will know the Bengals' initial 53-man roster, knowing there's still some more moves to come after that. Make sure you guys are subscribed, youtube.com/Bengals TV. We'll have the full roster for you guys tomorrow. But first, we begin with some rumors out there around Cincinnati, and one of the biggest names subjected to various rumors right now around the organization is Jackson Carman. Carman was better last year in the regular season and the playoffs after a disastrous first season, which he didn't show up in shape. In a pivotal preseason, Jackson Carman was not very good. Now, that has opened up questions as to the future of Carman. Could the Bengals trade him? Would anyone have interest? Could they cut him, keep somebody else on the roster? The potential saving grace for Carman in Cincinnati, beyond their typical desire of keeping players they drafted, their homegrown guys, giving them as many chances as possible, is that the offensive line depth across the NFL is bad. Jackson Carman, I have been very disappointed in. But if you're just, eyeballing 300-ish offensive linemen across the NFL, Carman's probably one of the top 300. Low bar to clear, but the draft pedigree means somebody might think we can fix him, which the last time that happened, by the way, worked out great for Cincinnati because someone thought they could fix Billy Price, which was dumb, and the Bengals got B.J. Hill, who's actually good. Carman, honestly, I thought played better in the regular season last year than in the preseason this year. And that's saying a lot because the level of competition, admittedly your supporting cast around you too, is not nearly as good. I was very disappointed by Carman. I think there is a scenario in which he does not make the 53-man roster. That scenario is you have your starting five, right? Max Sharping, I think, is pretty clearly your top interior backup along the offensive line. Turns out Deontay Smith is healthy, which is a big question mark right now with his shoulder injury. There's 7 offensive linemen. And the Bengals go, we're going to carry 8, maybe 9 with Hakeem Adeniji, Cody Ford, he's kind of got the concussion thing too, an asterisk there. And they know they're going to bring Lael Collins back at some point later on in the year, who we'll get to more in depth in a little bit. The Bengals would save $1.34 million with a trade or release of Jackson Carman. If Deontay Smith is good to go, I would feel comfortable saying I have my top 2 tackles. Smith can be my third, plus the possibility of Collins down the road, and I would be okay with moving on from Jackson Carman. Not sure that will happen because of the injuries, but what would you guys do with Carman? K for keep, C for cut, T for trade. It is today's pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk quarterbacks here. For starters, Jake Browning is going to be this team's backup quarterback. He cemented that job in the final preseason game. But it is worth considering if veteran quarterbacks are going to be released, Colt McCoy, but namely Will Grier could make some sense. The Cowboys told Grier he would not be playing for them anymore before when they made the trade for Trey Lance, before their final preseason game. Then Will Grier put together the greatest NFL game of his career. So could the Bengals trade for Grier? It probably cost you a 7th-round pick. Could they sign him? He is a vested veteran, which means he will not go through waivers. Could he be your quarterback 3, whether on the active roster or even on the practice squad? I was pretty disappointed by Trevor Siemian this year. There are very valid concerns to get into with Grier in general, but the stuff we saw from Grier in the game against the Raiders, despite actually missing some throws, he should have had 5 touchdowns. He had a touchdown pass to one of the Cowboys' backup wide receivers and just overshot him. It was a surefire touchdown. He was wide open. That game from Grier was significantly better than any other game we'd seen from him, which is why he's available, because he hasn't been that good in the preseason. His career stats, you take out that one game against the Raiders, you're looking at 6 passing touchdowns against 5 interceptions. That's not very good. And in the brief regular season work he's gotten back with Carolina, 4 interceptions, no touchdowns, which he wasn't ready. I think offers you more playmaking than someone like Trevor Siemian does. So I'm not opposed to it, but I also think that one game has very much overhyped Grier to a certain extent. That's why I think he'll be available as a free agent. So would you add Will Grier? Y for yes, N for no. This is a key question in terms of the backup quarterback room for the Bengals, so go vote for me in the comments section right now. I would be open to signing him. Whether that's quarterback 3 on your active roster or maybe as a practice squad fit. Since remember, Will Grier was cut last year by the Cowboys and was on the practice squad for much of the year until Dak got hurt, blah, blah, blah. So you could make him a practice squatter, I think. I would rather keep my draft picks. Grier's is the fun name now after a great performance that got everyone hyped. But, he was a reason he was not going to make the team before that game. And even if the Cowboys didn't trade for Trey Lance, it might have been a maybe if he would have made it. Now, if you want to get the shirt featuring the Bengals' best quarterback, not the former Cowboys quarterback, that is chatsports.com/BengalsJam. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Let's move to Lael Collins, as Bleacher Report once again has found a way to pitch maybe the Bengals should trade him. As we have said for months on end now, NFL teams are not trading for a hurt offensive tackle. That is the reality of the Lael Collins situation. I would be blown away if he were activated off the PUP list in time for week 1. He's going to miss at least the first 4 weeks of the season, maybe even longer. He is still in recovery mode from that brutal knee injury. Now, the Bengals would save $7.2 million with a trade or a cut, which, again, no one's paying that much money for a hurt dude. That's not how the NFL does business. But as a expensive, admittedly, insurance option, it actually does make sense to stick around in Cincinnati, although I would certainly not be opposed if the Bengals approached Lael Collins and said, hey, how about a pay cut? Because you're getting paid a lot of money to not be healthy right now. Collins, as the team's right tackle last year, is no longer in that position. Seems far more likely the Bengals will make him their top backup somewhere on the offensive line. Now, that could still just be right tackle, by the way. There are some NFL team concerns about being able to hold up at left tackle, but if there's an injury somewhere, outside of center, that'd probably be Max Sharping. If there's an injury at one of your tackle spots, you probably just put Collins in at right tackle and kick Jonah either out because he's hurt or over to left tackle, and maybe you could try Collins at guard as well. But injuries happen. Offensive line depth is tough to find. It's expensive, but Collins does still carry value. So with roster cuts coming, name a player who you want to trade or cut. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. One last note here is on the future of Trayveon Williams. He missed time due to injury. Now, that hurt him in the battle for the RB2 spot, where Chris Evans might have won that job. Now, the Bengals are going to keep Chase Brown. So, will the Bengals keep 3 backs or 4 backs? And will that be the number on the initial roster cut or the one on more Wednesday, Thursday? Allow me to explain. Williams, who will keep as RB2 for now, is a vested veteran, meaning he does not go through waivers when he is cut. So what the Bengals can do here is wait. They can be patient from that perspective. They can cut Trayveon Williams, carry a guy through initial roster cuts, then place them on IR so they can come back later in the year. Might be the case to do something like that with Deontay Smith or something. And then have hey, we're going to cut you, but you're going to come back, same contract, don't worry about it, with Trayveon Williams. That would then allow Mixon, Williams, Evans, and Chase Brown to be your top 3 backs. Or you can even agree to hey, Trey, get healthy, you're not quite 100% yet. Spend the first 2 weeks on the practice squad. Then we'll call you up once somebody else gets hurt because you have 3 free call-ups, from that perspective. Williams has spent the last 3 seasons with the Bengals. He's played plenty of other games. He does fit the vested veteran criteria as far as I've been told. 5 yards per carry. The Bengals were banking on him being the number 3 back, or the number 2 and the 3rd down back. Maybe that's Chris Evans' job now. Maybe now this allows him to spend some more time moving forward, but we shall see. If you haven't already, folks, make sure you are subscribed, youtube.com/BengalsTV.